If you guys are like us, you gotta be wondering how Skrillex is coming out with all these different types of vocal chops like this. If you stay tuned to this video, we're gonna show you some of the techniques he used to do this.
Also, don't forget, we are less than 10 days away from the early access release of Quest for Bass. If you're interested in getting this project file plus many more and the ultimate vocal chop rack, you're gonna wanna be on this list. Make sure you click on the link in the description and join now. We'll see you on December 20th.
What's up, everybody? My name's Danny Ferrari.
My name's Parker Immense.
And we are Excellent Sound, and oh boy, have I been looking forward to this, my friend.
There was a lot of mysteries in the last video.
A lot of mysteries in the last video. This is going to go ahead and clear up the air for a lot of people, right? So Skrillex is known for his vocal chops, as we know, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay. And he's always sort of innovating and adding new techniques, and we're always right behind him trying to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard our Tears remake, the actual vocal chops that are in there are not from the acapella. Those are ones that we actually made, and we made an awesome rack. And we're going to
surprise, dude.
Surprise. And we're going to be showing you guys how to do that. But first, what you need to know and how you can get this amazing vocal chop rack.
The only way
that you can get that is by signing up for Quest for Bass, the pre-sale early access list. Okay, it's one of the bonuses. We've already gone over a ton.
This is a huge bonus that we're giving them, Danny.
It's a banger, right?
I need you to reinforce that,
It's
dude.
a huge fucking ass fucking...
Grab that mic.
So this vocal chop rack is insane. It's one of the coolest things we've ever made, okay? It took a very, very long time to make. A lot of iterations, a lot of different sort of techniques went into this to match what Skrillex is doing right now. He has this like vocally synth sort of thing that he does with vocal chops now. We're gonna be talking about the techniques. We're gonna play with the rack a little bit, show you what you're gonna get when you get Quest for Bass, the early access version. Again, remember, if you're not on the list and you're not one of the 1,000 people that purchase within that timeline, you're not gonna be able to get this. I'm sorry. But I promise you that if you just put yourself on the list and you're ready and you check your emails, this thing will be there for you. You're going to want this.
Less than 10 days away, you guys.
Less than 10 days away. We got a little bootleg for you, a free download. We'll talk about that later. Let's jump into it, bro.
Let's jump in,
Let's
dude.
talk about this
I'm so
rack,
hyped.
okay?
I'm so hyped.
If you guys haven't heard already, of course, our Tears remake, you could hear this. See how it's like wispy?
Yeah.
And then you have this part too, the... And so it sounds like a vocal, but it sounds like a synth. And that was like the main thing, was trying to figure out how to do that, right?
That's the big thing with Sonny, man. He always does crazy stuff with vocals. He's always on the forefront of doing some weird vocal chops and turning vocals into an instrument.
Yeah, he's just so creative when it comes to that. And I think, like, I don't know if it was like that for you when you first heard this sound. Like, to me, I was like, wait, that's a vocal, but it's not.
Yeah, on first listen, I thought it was just like a simple vocal chop.
Right.
But then when we started getting into it, then I was like, oh, there is some little aspects. He's doing something very interesting, very unique. You know what I'm saying?
So we figured that out, and we have a rack here that's insane, okay? So we're going to go ahead and show you guys real quick. We've been kind of blurring it out, I think, in some videos and stuff. As you can see, there are a ton of different macros. We're going to be going through some of these and sort of explaining what they actually do. But the main point that we wanted to show you guys with this rack is some of these features that are really, really cool. I'm going to go ahead and just play a couple notes. Okay. We have created the ultimate vocal chop rack. You guys,
baby.
You don't have to chop vocals anymore, right?
Nope, it's over with.
What are vocal chops, really? They're really just vowels, right?
Yep.
So we got every single vowel that you're going to need, and of course, different iterations of that, right?
It's pretty sick.
It's amazing,
yeah.
Right? It's a huge time saver, and also to be able to manipulate these samples to create new and interesting stuff. You guys are going to see, we're going to go through a lot of it. First and foremost, like the natural sort of feel of this actual thing is it's like a real instrument. As I'm playing through some of these samples, they're all different, right? Because it's multi-sample, right? It's not just a one-shot, right? You could do that if you'd like, but in this mode, essentially, it's a multitude of different samples and different vowels.
I'm kind of tired of chopping up vocals.
It's a pain in
the ass. You know what
I'm
saying? Because I usually end up taking a sample and changing the key of it. You know what I'm saying? Or changing the notes.
Yep.
And then I have a stack of all of these different vocals. I have audio, I have MIDI. How do I change the note? How do I play the audio. Like,
Right.
it's so confusing, and it takes away from my creativity.
Right.
So
And
this is perfect for everybody that's doing that.
that's what we're super excited about too, is just to have this in our sort of toolkit. And then like the ability to create something really interesting like Skrillex has done. It's not just like sort of like the synthy sort of thing that you could do. You could just use it as a regular vocal. Like you could turn all that shit off if you want. And we're going to show you kind of through that a little bit. But what's cool about this song is that all these different chops that are happening in this specific part are all different. I-E-O-O, like different vowels, right? And we went ahead and created an actual knob here to switch through different vowels, right? There's about 4 different vowels, but there's different variations of samples in each, which is super cool.
We also included just the important vowels that Skrillex uses all the time, the ones that everybody always needs. Nobody's doing I's.
The main vowels that you need when vocal chopping is A, E, O, and U. I is not like I.
That's what I'm saying. We didn't do I because we don't need it. We only did the important ones.
Exactly. So messing around with this thing, it's really, really cool. Some of the main things about this sound specifically is like really the relationship of the attack and the main sort of envelope, right? So we have, of course, your main sort of envelope features here. So you can kind of be messing with these. You can mess with the release or the decay. You can make a super, super long decay. To sort of hold it out, right? You can make your attack and your decay really short if you'd like. You got your reverb over here. Let's turn down the decay time a bit. Dry it up so you could just hear. That's kind of like your more classic sort of vocal chop thing. We also have these great little pitch mod knobs. These are sick. We went ahead and added some glidey stuff. So if I want to pitch it up essentially 12, the actual octave itself. Right? Very, very useful to have that type of shit. And then we have this pitch mod macro, which is super sick to get some cool glidey stuff. Right? A big thing too about this sound is there's a little bit of FM going on. I'm not going to get into like sort of like how that's sort of done. You know, if you get the rack, you can kind of see essentially how that's done. But there's a little bit of FM and FM pitch, which is sort of creating how it makes it sound more like a synth-like, right? So it sounds natural, but still sounds like not organic, if that makes any sense.
Exactly.
You can really mess with these FM and get some really, really cool tones. A cool thing, too, is that there's a secret saturator in Sampler that we found. And if you guys have ever messed with Sampler or a lot of, like, the other Ableton instruments...
This is huge, dude. This is so huge.
They're super confusing, but we found... I want to say it's the secret saturator.
Yes.
The secret saturator sauce. Let's get a little bit of reverb. And basically, we have this saturate knob, so you can really... You see how tacky it is now, too? Right, and then you could change the saturation type too, which is super cool.
It also sounds different than just the regular saturator.
Yeah, it does.
It's so weird.
It really does. It has a special characteristic. I had no idea that it was in Sampler until we found
neither.
it. Right, it's hidden. You guys will probably find it now, but now we're a saxophone, dude. What's up? Sexy sax man.
Yeah, dude.
The main thing about like recreating this sort of like vocal synth shot thing that Skrillex does is a lot of saturation. The saturation really, really sort of helps it sort of sound, I don't know, it gives it that, like I said, that wispiness sound to it. We're going to be doing a bootleg of it for you guys. You guys free download. We're going to go over that, but we just wanted to show you guys this thing because this thing is super sick. Another really cool thing that I'm actually really, really excited about, the format, okay? So a lot of times, like, I think he uses Alter Boy a lot or maybe Melodyne or something. I don't know. He probably uses a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I've seen it in his videos.
Yeah, but we actually had used the vocoder to create sort of like a format effect. You don't want to go all the way because it'll essentially like get rid of the entire tone. So you get a little bit of a lower pitch, which is really nice. And of course, just like moving around the different vowel selections. See how it's not like a full entire pitch because we have the pitch mod to do that if we want. Right? We have the actual pitch, but it's essentially changing the formats. And that's the thing I've noticed about this sound specifically with Tears and the other vocal stuff that he's been doing in Quest for Fire is the formats are like weird. There's this weird thing happening with the formats that we're going to get into too when we do the bootleg.
And dude, if you wanted to do this with an actual audio loop, it would be so difficult to change the format. You got to like chop it into ones.
Exactly.
And then go into the sidebar and change the algorithm. Dude, it takes way too long.
It's way too much.
Too long.
This is a great, great hack for all you producers out there. So another big thing too that we've talked about in our other Skrillex vocal chop videos before is an auto pan, right? And using an LFO to essentially create this sort of kind of help the attack and the decay, and also too sometimes the legato note can kind of just sort of create these stutters, which is super cool. That's kind of what this does. I have it set to quarter note, so it just does it really quick because that's how we were sort of matching the sound before. But if I do like a really fast sort of vibe, right? And then of course I could saturate it more. I could change the shape of the LFO. There, now we're sounding more like more classic Skrillex. And then the offset, which is the actual position of the LFO. Depending upon what shape you are, you want to mess with the different offsets. When you guys, of course, when you guys purchase Quest for Bass on December 15th and you're signed up for that early access and you get the bonuses and this project file. We could do like a really attacky sort of one. Let me turn down the reverb a little bit. So.
That's so sick.
There it is. That's like a fret again track.
Yep.
Right. So a lot of really, really cool stuff.
So we know that you guys are super impatient for Quest for Bass.
Oh, yeah.
We want to give you guys some free stuff. So we're going to show you how to make a bootleg version of this rack, okay? It's going to be a single sample.
Yep.
It's going to be a little fancy, but not too fancy, okay? After we go over the bootleg, I'm going to show you a very, very cool technique.
Yeah, you guys are going to be able to see some really, really cool stuff. All right, so let's talk about how you guys can make a sort of like a bootleg version of this.
Yep.
It's a single vowel, right? Okay. The vocals, if you didn't know, you might recognize. It sounds like an angel singing. I don't know. I've heard Angel sing. And whoever...
Wait, when have you heard Angel sing?
Plenty of times, dude.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Okay. But yeah, so this voice is actually mine. So it's kind of embarrassing, but
do you know
it came
how
out
many
pretty
tracks you're going to be in from now on,
I
dude?
hope so. That'd be
You're
so
going to be in so many tracks.
That's right. And it's royalty free, so you're welcome. Okay, so to make this sort of rack, we went ahead and included this vocal chop in there. So this is to kind of make a similar sound. This is kind of how it sounds like this is the finished product, essentially, you're going to go for. That's the...
There it is.
It is, right? So the vowel is an E vowel, and then we have our root note. So you want to make sure that you match that to that. I mean, this will be in the free download for you, but if you're trying to make your own stuff and get creative with it so that you can kind of follow along. The main thing about sampler, right, that we learned, especially with using samples, is using this sort of sustain mode, this little loopback mode. This is a big key nug right here, okay? This is a fat nug. There's crystals all over it, okay?
Smack it, dude.
This sustain mode, essentially what it allows you to do is if you were to play like a legato note like so, it keeps going even though the sample is like essentially going to end. So it's a nice sort of way of making a small note longer.
Yes, and it's good for 808s that are too short.
Yes.
It's good for effects that are too short. Pretty much any sample that you really want to elongate.
Right. I always want to elongate.
Find that loop. Yeah, you do. You always want to find that nice loop point.
This is a clutch thing, and not a lot of people know this because the sampler is kind of hard to figure out. That's why they have samplers. So yeah, that's a really, really cool thing. Another thing too is obviously like sort of messing with the actual sort of envelope, the main envelope here. We have the sustain all the way down for this specific sound because it's a very, very like sort of slow attack, but a really fast decay. So it's really important if you want to match that sort of wispiness to it. And then also we have this auto pan that's essentially helping with that, right? Which we're going to go over in a minute. And this is the secret saturator right here. This little shaper right here. 4-bit, that's the jam right there. There's a couple different options in here, which is cool. We didn't even know about that until recently. So the main thing about making sort of your bootleg version is you got to get a right sample that has essentially a really, really good singer like myself or voice of an angel. So
beautiful singer.
Step one, voice of an angel. Got to be handsome. Got to smell great. A lot of sex appeal. And is always trying to elongate. Main thing.
Yep.
Always be elongating. You want to get like a really, really good vowel right here. This one's an E, so this one you guys can use this. This is in the download, but you guys can make your own if you want to sing it yourself. You can do that as well. Step 2 would be essentially to have it looping back for if you need it to be longer or elongated, like we talked about. Step 3 is messing with your main envelope, but to get that sort of wispiness, we need a very, very slower attack and a very fast sort of decay and a lot of release to create that. Okay, moving on from that, we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of EQ. We just got a little bit of low cut. It's pretty simple. Now it's stock in Ableton. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just a quick. It's really quick and easy to use instead of having to draw in your utility,
Right.
or even just it just saves 2 steps.
Yeah.
Whenever you're trying to map something.
It's super, super clutch. So just be able to have that sort of amount of the white noise sort of coming in and out. That's a big part of why it sounds the way it sounds in this actual song. Before the erosion is this is, I think, the biggest important part that actually makes it sort of sound more like a synth, but also a vocal at the same time, is taking an EQ, right? And when you sort of, let's just take a blank EQ. I'm not going to do this whole thing for you guys, but I'll just kind of just visually show you. So those main peaks that are coming up right there, those are pretty much like the formants in the sound, right? So essentially what we did is you take an EQ and you remove a majority of them, right? So that's what this is doing right here.
You keep the fundamental and then you take the harmonics out.
Exactly. What I would say is that you want to make sure that you sort of go a little bits at a time to where you get where you would like it. If it's the one shot, you want to match it with that specific one. And then, we just got a couple little other things. These hybrid reverbs add like a really, really cool tone to it. I use it kind of more like to sort of shape the tone of it, to kind of give it this sort of, I don't know, I always think of the dolphin flute in Jack U, right? Very, very simple. And then lastly, the biggest thing is this auto pan. We always talk about auto pan since it's just hitting quarter notes right now, but you would probably want to automate that. But we went ahead and just go ahead and gave you one macro because we're super nice for the auto pan to turn it dry or wet. So it kind of cleans it up a little bit. So a really, really cool feature. This is in the download description below. Parker, let's show the people what you can do with amazing ultimate vocal.
The ultimate vocal rack. So if you guys are still with us, now I'm going to show you the coolest trick as a bonus in this instrument rack right here.
Yeah.
Okay? So we went over all these macros and what they do. There's tons of different ways to get different sounds, okay? And a really cool trending thing right now, Danny.
Is it trending?
It's trending right now.
TikTok?
Everybody is all about the random button, dude. Okay? So if you hit this random button, you get a whole new sound. Oh, that's sick.
Yo.
This one's so sick. So now, once you find something that you like, that's so dope. Without even changing anything, okay?
Yep.
You could actually save your preset. Boom. We could call this, LFO, LFO vocal. Boom. And then you have that to come back to at all times.
You could also hit new right here.
Oh, and have a different...
so hit new.
Yeah. I like that.
Bam, there it is. Now we got that one locked in.
So this random knob is super powerful, and you can get so many different sounds from this one instrument rack. But yeah, so if you guys want this, again, less than 10 days away, join the pre-sale in the description, and you can have this for free when you buy Quest for Bass.
That's right. No one's ever really done an insane vocal rack like this, and we are super excited. Of course, like you were saying with the random knob too, which is really cool, is that not only can it replicate something like what Skrillex does, but also can create new and innovative stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know
we're pushing boundaries.
We're pushing shit, dude.
We're giving you guys for free. We got the bootleg, dude.
So make sure you guys click the link in the description to sign up for Quest for Bass. It's in the description below. And of course, if you want to get the free download for the bootleg, that is there. Comment, like the video, subscribe. More videos to come.
Let's get the Quest for Bass, baby.
Are you joining us?
I'm joining. I'm in.
Cue the Quest music.